So my name is Ryan McGonigle. I wear a number of different hats, and as we go through the presentation, you'll kind of see why and how I have to wear these different hats. I am the director of the U.S. operations for the CTC10 Foundation, which is a U.S.-based nonprofit, and I'll go into that in a little bit. I also am the assistant director of the Ware Institute for Civic Engagement at Franklin and Marshall College. It's essentially the community outreach wing of Franklin and Marshall College. And additionally, and it ties in with the South Africa program, I co-founded a nonprofit that now runs in South Africa called Amandla Edu Football. And as of last year, was just honored as at the Beyond Sport Awards for the Sport for Conflict Resolution Award. Just to kind of go into the presentation, I have a video that I like to play just to give a little bit of a description of the program we've done. You'll see the Chris Campbell Memorial Field, a community empowerment initiative. I just put the community empowerment initiative. I think that's the most important part of what we'll talk about. Is it wasn't an initiative that we just did and pushed on a community. It was more of something that we had an idea that we wanted to do, but we then asked the community what they thought they could use of the facility that we wanted to create and how it could best be used for the community and the upliftment of the community. So if we could go to the next slide. Just start the video. Should be. Go two down. Put it there just in case animation. Key thing that I like to talk about when I speak in the field is this unbridled joy that you get to see on kids' faces, whether it's winning a game, whether it's just having a great time with their friends at the field in this just safe place. In 2007, Chris Campbell passed away. He was a member of the men's soccer team. And after his passing, it was a tough time for all of us and the men's soccer team especially. But we decided between Mr. Campbell and Coach Wagner, they developed a vision to build a soccer field in Khayelitsha, South Africa. We wanted to build a field that would be able to be used by the locals, that we would be able to bring resources from the States, bring our education from the States, and be able to help out, where possible, and be able to help strengthen a community. And more than men's soccer, the student body really seemed to embrace it. And so between 2007 and 2008, we were able to raise $350,000.
It's so incredibly impressive what the Chris Campbell Memorial Field has been able to do with the Khayelitsha community, a community that had one of the highest crime rates in South Africa. And people are coming together, young youths are coming together, older people are coming together, and they're utilizing the field, and it's helping to better the entire community in Khayelitsha to actually think that one field, a soccer field, can make an incredible difference to a community. That's what's so exciting. And the possibilities that are still there in terms of what we can develop with that community.
I've been working with the Ware Institute to create programs that would enable students to come to South Africa, to come to the Chris Campbell Memorial Field, and to experience really the community, the culture, and also to be able to understand the programs and the impact that the Chris Campbell Memorial Field is having on the local community.
Again, this summer we have the One Goal program. We have the Social Entrepreneur course that's going down. Next year we hope that the Global Public Health program will be offered. Obviously there are study abroad opportunities with the University of Cape Town, and we have continuing volunteer opportunities with the Chris Campbell Memorial Field, so a multitude of opportunities for students.
the field is the embodiment of what makes this community so special and what makes the South African so special is its culture. And the culture of South Africa is in its music, in its dance, and also in its passion for the game of soccer. So I just wanted to have some kind of visual representation of the facility because it's really hard to describe just all that happens there on a daily basis and a regular basis. I'll just start off with kind of my story and how I got involved. I was graduated from F&M in 2008, but I was a men's soccer player for the 4 years that I was there. Chris Campbell was actually, he was my best friend. We had spent time the week before preseason at his family vacation. The day before our preseason, he suddenly, while training, dropped and was not able to be revived. Prior to our season, we were planning to do something in the spring to do a community service project in South Africa. Didn't really know what we wanted to do, but our coach, Dan Wagner, he knew that he wanted us to be more than just a soccer team. And we kind of embraced that. We had that family atmosphere of a team. We had a special bond together. And so when Chris passed, donations started to come in for his funeral and things. And Coach Wagner and Mr. Campbell decided that let's do something to remember him. Let's promote a legacy in his honor. And so through that year, we did fundraisers. We did it with the F&M students, private investors throughout Philadelphia, and we managed to raise $350,000. Additionally, it was like, well, we raised this money and we want to build this field, but how's it going to run? And I said, well, look, if it's going to have his name on the building, I'm going. And I'm going to make sure that whatever happens from the dirt to self-sustainability, we're going to manage it. And it has to succeed. And so after I graduated in 2008, I went down there in August. And prior to that, we had established the location at a school right next to a primary school, K through 6th grade, about 1,200 kids in the school, where we wanted to build a field. We went down in March of my senior year and we dedicated the field and told them that the field was coming. And then August I went down. And the field construction started and it actually ended December 5th. We had our opening January 23rd, 2009. I wrote in here, Khayelitsha, Khayelitsha. In South Africa, there's 11 South African languages, national languages. One of the languages, and the main language spoken in this township, is Xhosa. And it's a Clix language, and they speak Xhosa as well as English in the township. I wrote Khayelitsha, Khayelitsha because that's the phrase that's on the field. And we put it specifically and intentionally on the field because our field, our future, that idea of ours. And it's not ours as in the CTC 10 Foundation. CTC 10 Foundation stands for Christopher Thomas Campbell. His number was 10. And that's how that's the nonprofit 501c3 that we generated the funds through. Our field, our future is in for the community, by the community. That's what we wanted it to be. So when I went down there in 2008, we had a relationship with a nonprofit that is just starting up, that there's a man and a woman who had been working with soccer leagues for orphanages. And they pointed out this location as a very, very needy location, a very dangerous location. And so when I came down there, they had never built a field before. They had never, had a field built. And the first thing we had to do is, what do we want to do with this facility? How is it going to be built? Now, in the U.S., we had all the best interests of building this facility, providing to a community, but we had never done this before. And so the first thing that we did was we just started meeting with local businesses. We did a needs assessment. Without even really knowing of how the social development works, we did a needs assessment. And we ended up talking to the local clubs, talking to the local schools about what needed to be done. In Khayelitsha is a township of about 2.5 million people, 70% unemployment at the time when we built the facility. Over 1/3 are HIV positive in the township. So there's quite a lot of, with that being said, there's quite a lot of crime that took place, especially, this was actually one of the most dangerous areas of the township. And so doing a needs assessment, we talked to members of the township, people that were from street corners to, heads of the local community. And so moving on, we managed to get a nonprofit, just a social group of 12 guys who had been on the street corners. We named them the Ambitious Youth of Khayelitsha. We said, hey, we want to do something with soccer. Is there anything you think you would like to do at the facility? And they said, there's such a need for kids to get off the streets and to be involved in a soccer and a positive environment. We said, all right, well, let's start with that. And we started very basic, just having kids come after school, running very basic soccer programs and things like that. Well, then we found out that, yes, we had these unemployed guys that wanted to help the facility, but they're not developing themselves. And so we started to have capacity building workshops, talking about showing up on time, talking about the very basics of self-grooming and hygiene. And then as that went on, it was like, okay, well, they also need to make money. If they're poor, how are they supposed to work? So we developed a tourism company. Right around the time of the World Cup. And we linked them to a local tour provider, and they started doing tours that would go from the World Cup stadium to a local stadium 10 minutes outside the town of Cape Town, and then to our field. And so they talk about soccer and its impact on the country, not only in Cape Town City, but also in the impoverished area of Khayelitsha. And they would do a walking tour, and through that they gained a little bit of revenue. And that's how we kind of get the legs going on the nonprofit, of just having locals, building them, letting them realize that now that they're at this facility, they are role models, and they need to take themselves seriously as role models. And just building and investing time into that human capital really gave us a lot of stock within the community. We continue to meet with local community partners and try to identify different ways that we can use sport and soccer specifically as a tool to reach people as far as HIV/AIDS education, gender-based violence, substance abuse, etc. So we started with 12 individuals. That, like I said, this started with, they were called the Ambitious Youth of Khayelitsha. From that, we had them working for so long, but as the World Cup came and we knew it was going to come and go, we knew we had to start really focusing on the development of the field. And for me, I was supposed to be there as an intern for 1 year. I just kept staying on. It's like, it's not sustainable yet. I can't leave. It's just not, it's not working to the level of where I can leave and be happy that things are going to go. So I talked a little bit about, Khayelitsha, Khayelitsha. We talked about building your team a bit and just kind of developing, the team around, developing the community and letting them know that what our mission was, and then working yourself out of a job. We're all, in the nonprofit business, if you're not working yourself out of a job, then what are you really doing? You're working to solve an issue. You've picked a cause, you've picked a mission, and you're trying to work to solve an issue. And if you're not trying to work yourself to that issue being solved, then why are you in that job? And so that's what I was trying to do, is each year is trying to figure out, how am I going to get this to a level of self-sustainability? Well, there's a friend of mine who had been working in the nonprofit and had been doing the soccer leagues for orphanages. And I started talking to him, and we had a good relationship. The organization was called McGonigle, which in Xhosa means give strength to youth. And so I started talking, I said, I have this facility, I have the community buy-in, I have volunteers, but I have no funding. I've been working for 1.5 years, and I had no funding to give to these people. So yes, they wanted to help, but at the end of the day, when they're going home, they're not making enough money to make ends meet, so it's going to eventually fail. And so I spoke with him quite a bit, and in 2010, we co-founded a nonprofit called McGonigle Edu Football. McGonigle Edu Football essentially gives strength and educate through football is the basis of what we're doing. To this point now, I worked for another year from 2010 to 2011 developing a monitoring evaluation system, a tracking system, so that we could measure results. We now have about 1,000 kids going through the programs each week. We have programs for under 10, boys and girls from under 18 to 8 years old. That we have a life skill curriculum that's been developed. We also have a crime prevention league that we do. So between 7 p.m. and 1 a.m. on Friday nights, instead of adults going to the bars, they come out to the facility, and we run a night league. And so we have about 350 adults that are involved in that program, over 40 teams, and we play 5-a-side games. We make it an exciting environment that they want to come to. There's dancers, there's DJs, there's a lot of music. It's an exciting place to be. So in total, we have this holistic model of from the age of 8 years old, you can come up to the program from 8 to 14 to 18, and each program has age-sensitive curriculum that we've developed so that they can go through and they can learn about from the very early age of hygiene and what they should eat, all the way up to gang-related issues, substance abuse, gender-based violence, the importance of taking care of yourself, and also the importance of taking care of others around you, and your roles and responsibilities as a citizen of South Africa. So moving on from there, I want to stick to time because I know I'm already running over. We've been able to have quite a bit of success, and I think a lot of that is due to the initial needs assessment and the development of our community partners. To this day, according to the local police, we've reduced crime in that area about 29%. As I said, we just recently got the Sport for Conflict Resolution Award from Beyond Sport. What we're doing, it's a lot of mass participation. We run a 24-hour event that engages 2,200 kids from the age of 10 to adults on a 24-hour program. A lot of this can be done only because of that investment that we made originally in the human capital and developing people. That investment continues with our self-sustainability as we've developed a leadership program so that between 18 and 21, you can be a junior leader and work at the facility and earn a small stipend. There's a senior leader program for 21 to 32-year-olds, so you can work through the program. There's a stipend program that is just to give them enough money so that they can, they're happy about what they're doing, but we also provide workshops with the Department of Labor so they can get actual workshops that they can put on their resume, and then they can eventually either use the skills in our work, or they can also take it to somewhere else and use it on the resume to apply to better jobs. So it is this holistic model that we continue to train, which has allowed for the programs and allowed me to leave, but also to feel comfortable about the self-sustainability of the organization. So I believe that's everything that I have. I hope I didn't run over too much time, but thank you guys very much for the opportunity to share.